The week he graduated from Oxford, he came to me. Make a long story short, he left, he went in and did what I told him. He made $400 million at 20. If free cash flow meets debt service, that's it. That's all you need to know. If you started a business on eBay or whatever business and you've gone from 0 to 5,000 revenue, that's geometric growth because you've gone from 0 to 5,000. If you've gone from 0 to 50,000 or 100,000, that's geometric growth. That's no different than Bezos, Elon, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. But then what happens? You start worrying about the money you made. And you stop playing to win and you start playing not to lose. And there's no comparison between playing not to lose and playing to win. You start coveting your assets like an old hen sitting on her eggs. Those of you that have started a business understand geometric growth. The only thing I did is I never stopped for 10 years. 120 hours a week. Sleeping at bus stations, sleeping at airports. So now, how do you make money? You need to love something, so it's not work. You got to be able to put in long hours and not consider it work. And you've got to make a lot of sacrifices. You can't be going to your Sweet 16, whatever. You can't be going to, there's not time for that. If Elon Musk and all these guys and myself, we all slept in our office the first 10 years of our business. Slept in the office. You know, success leaves clues, kids, and they're all tough as nails. Some of you will say they're ruthless. I would have to tend to agree with some of the guys are ruthless. Some people have said, I started the same Dell Corporation started. If I had been in the computer business, I would have been the first trillionaire on the planet. But they also say, Dan, you're a weenie. You're too easy. Now, these are the big boys. If I'm too easy, then I'm a weenie, which equates to a snowflake. Where enough does that leave you? If I'm a weenie stroke snowflake, where does that leave you? Find something you love. Find something you're passionate about. And then work your ass off and practice. There's more money out there right now than ever in the history of time. Interest rates, it's like they're giving away money. The interest rates are so low. And on my website, if free cash flow meets debt service, that's it. That's all you need to know. Free cash flow meets debt service. Most of you wouldn't know a deal if it's in the groin. That's why you can't get them financed. That's why they don't work. On my website, there's how do I get the fin money, one link, and deal flow. How do I get deal flow? Why are those two links the least clicked upon on my website? Because if you know how to get the money and you know where to get a deal, then you've got no more excuses. So hardly anybody ever looks at those two links. You would rather read 400 books and just jerk around and pretend and be a wannabe. That's a sad commentary. 30, 40 years ago, people took it seriously. The week he graduated from Oxford, he came to me. Make a long story short, he left, he went in and did what I told him. He made $400 million at 20. When you buy a company and you follow the model, first most important thing is a motivated seller. And then the motivated seller helps you structure the deal around commercial lending, meaning regular banks. But if they have their own debt structure, if they have a strong banking relationship, one of the 3 or 4 banks you interview, and remember, you're interviewing the financial institutions. And this is on my site. The board, we have taken the decision to review all our professional relationships, including banking. Currently, we have a deposit relationship, meaning we deposit money and we may or may not get service. This is all on the site, okay? One of the banks that you will consider to do the deal with is his or her own bank, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel if it's the bank of the acquisition candidate. They already know the business because they've been banking them 3, 5, 7, 10 years. The best credits on the planet are dentists. The second best credits on the planet are veterinaries. And it's hard for a kid to slam, I don't mean physically. Now, I meant physically when I did it. But it's hard for a 20-year-old to talk back or up to a 40 or 50 or 60-year-old. That's just because that's how you were raised. Leadership starts at the beginning. The board governs, you lead. It's really important. The board of directors, the dream team as we call them, govern, corporate governance, etc. But you're the leader. Josh was slapping, not physically, he was pushing these guys around when he's 17, 18, 19. You saw what he looks like. He looks 15. You can do it. His only claim to fame, other than the 15-speed bike, he was an Eagle Scout. And his father is a West Point graduate, a senior Army officer. And his mother is a psychologist who read the book by Spock. So a few things fell in his favor. He understood discipline. He kind of understood leadership. And his mother raised him by that book that I say is the Bible. And dental practices have 20-30% margin, gross margin. And why do I want you to have 20-30% gross margin? Because very few people in this room could manage their way out of a wet paper bag. And I want bigger margins so you have more wiggle room if you fuck up. It's easier to buy revenue than create revenue from the bottom. First of all, anybody that started a business, the first 50,000 or 500,000 from zero is geometric growth. Now, when you buy a business that's got $1 million in revenue, I'm using a small number, and you take it to a bank, the bank knows when you say this is de-risked revenue, meaning you don't know how much the person that the founder of that business spent to create that first $1 million. You're not paying him for the $5 million that he started as a startup to do the $1 million. The banks intellectually understand, oh, it's de-risked because you're buying the top line revenue. And when you also use this is the other thing that's on my site, is that we will never bring you a deal that doesn't pencil. Free cash flow will always cover debt service. All of a sudden, you're in a different league. Most of you in this room wouldn't know a good deal if it bit you in the ass. And when you say that to the banks, all of a sudden, you're a player. You're not a contender anymore. So, to the extent that you can find businesses that already have existing cash flow, the answer is terrific. And you're not buying turnaround situations. The weakest link in the QLA formula is you. And you're building up like a sandcastle, your industry experts, your CEO, your CFO, your chairman, your big accounting firm, and your big law firm, but you're the weak link. At the end of the first deal, you're going to have 60, 70% of the deal. But you remember, you've already de-risked the revenue. It's really important. And people, we have 30-some gigs of free information. And that's not counting all the YouTube shit. I don't mean, it's not shit, but all the YouTube stuff. You have about 100 gigs. If you go through two guarantees, if you go through all 100 gigs, you'll be worth $10 million in 18 months. If you make 2,000 cold calls, you'll be worth $10 million in 6 months. A cold call meaning you talk to a decision maker, an owner, not a fucking flabby-titted secretary, not a receptionist. You don't leave a fucking message. You talk to a decision maker, 2,000 cold calls, and you'll be rich. Guaranteed. But you won't make 20 calls. Josh Kim made 300 calls a fucking day. It's not by accident the little skinny shit teenagers in a skin jet plane. Andrew Carnegie had 4 rules to success. Financial motive must prevail. Financial motive must prevail. Financial motive must prevail. Financial motive must prevail. So one is financial motive must prevail. Okay. The second thing is laser beam focus. And in my judgment, the third, from my experience with all the big hitters that I've been privileged to be around, is being obsessed. Because being obsessed, OCD is more than laser beam focus. Being obsessed is being sick. And I am still at 74, pretty fucking sick. But my challenge is I have to live vicariously through you now. So I'm doing what your parents fucked up, but you're slow. I'm asked if you started on the 1st of September or whatever month you want to, how long would it take me to do all the things that I tell you that takes 3 to 7 years? 30 to 45 days. 45 days if I fucked everything up. We have guys doing it now in 45, 60, 75 days, and they can't find their ass with both hands tied behind them. But they're making the calls, and they're, all this stuff's on the website. The YouTube stuff is golden. 25,000 kids come to Hollywood every year, brand new, with stars in their eyes from Kansas and New Jersey. One person makes it. Business. 250,000 kids start businesses every year in America. One makes it to the big time. meaning billions, like a Zuckerberg. Maybe 9 make it to what I would call the second league. You'd call it the first league, but I'd call it the second league. Because they're trying to do deals that aren't real deals. The beauty of the QLA model, notwithstanding the simplicity, is that you don't need anything other than somebody that wants to sell as much as you want to buy. The ideal customer, or ideal person, they tease me in the industry, a motivated seller to Pena is the wife just had a stroke and is in a wheelchair, and the husband is spitting up blood from an emphysema. Now that's a goddamn motivated seller.